Hi, morning everyone. Back at Sawdust Shack. We're making a toy box. Some friends of ours, they've just become grandparents, and we're going to sort them a toy box out. Have to excuse the noise. I've got the diesel heater on. It's a bit nippy in here this morning, so I'll get set up and show you what's going off. Right, starting off with a sheet of 18mm MDF, and what we're doing, we're making it in like a shaker style. So we're going to have the framework running around at 100mm, and then set behind that is going to be a flat panel, so it's like recessed in. Now I'm just going to set the track saw up. I'm going to cut some 100mm strips off this, ready for making the framework up. What I'm actually going to do, because with the track saw, best will in the world, you can never get them 100%, so I'm cutting them at 110, and then I'll set the table saw up and I'll whip them all through at 100 on there. Then I know they're all bang on the same width and the frame should look good. So I'll get the track saw set up and then show you how that goes. Right, these tracks that I've got for the Fez tool, 1.4 meters long. They come in all different lengths, so then you get these joining bars, so you can join two together to give you the extra length. So it's one in the top, one in the bottom. I like to offset them a bit just to make it a little bit more sturdy. Don't know whether it does, might not, don't know. Seems to do. They just tighten up, and then we slot one into the other. What's up? And there we are, that's on as marks. Now obviously the track gives me all the length I need then. So I'll get the saw set up and I'll be back with you. Right, that's the track saw all set up now. Got the extraction on because it does produce a hell of a lot of dust. And basically the saw does what it says on the tin. It rides along the track and cuts up to the marks that you set on the wood. You just set the track up to the marks and that's it. It's very simple but an excellent piece of kit, really is good. So I'll cut this first one, you can have a look at that, and then you don't need to see the rest of them. I'll just plod on and get the rest of them cut. Right, that took two passes because like an idiot I didn't check where I got the blade depth set. It wasn't deep enough, so I had to reset and go through again. There's the first one, all cut. So I'll carry on, cut the rest, and I'll fetch you back when I've got table saw set up. Right, got what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strips cut there, ready. This one, not really enough meat left to get the track on and leave me what I need. So just set the table saw up, set the fence at 100mm, so we're going to run them all through now, and then I know they're all identical 100mm width.
I set off with the track saw first rather than straight onto the table saw, purely because I couldn't handle the full size sheet in the space I've got. So it was cut them up into manageable pieces and then get them on the table saw.
Right, so here we are. So all these have now been through table saw and they're all exactly 100mm across. which gives us hopefully enough to make all the framework for the toy box and some of the mouldings as well that we're going to make for it. Right, I've got my length worked out. Now I'm trying to work out the height. What I want is an overall height from floor to the top of 600mm. Now on the bottom we're going to make a moulding that's going to be have the feet combined into it, and I'm going to set that at 50mm down, which is the halfway point on here. So I like to do it visibly. You can do it mathematically by deducting everything, but I like to see what I'm doing. So I've got a piece stood up here which represents the lid. Then I've got the part of the front panel, bottom of the front panel, and then where the leg sits. So once I set that from top to bottom at 600mm, which I've got there, then all I need to do then is measure in between those 2 points to get my measurement for the sides, and that then gives me the size of the box to correspond with what I need overall. I say you can do it mathematically. You can take your 600mm height, knock 18mm off for your top, knock your 50mm off that you're going to be separating the legs, and then just add the bottom on. And you can do it all that way round, but like I say, I like to see what I'm doing and see how it looks, make sure it looks right as I'm going ahead. So that's that bit worked out, so we'll get them cut now. Right, so this is roughly how we're going to look on the front. We have 2 panels, so they're going to be fastened to the back, so it ends up looking like a shaker style front. And then obviously I'll work that out for the centre and we'll fasten that in. We're going to use, to fasten this up, we're going to use something called pocket screws, which I will show you how all that works. And basically it puts 2 slots in, and then you screw in on an angle into that piece, and it holds them together. Then those screws are hidden inside so you don't see them, and it's a nice neat way of joining 2 pieces that are just square like this. Right, so got various bits cut there for the front and back, there for the front and back. These ones are going to form the mouldings that are going top and bottom all the way around, and the rest of this and all this lot is going to make the sides and other bits and bobs. Them ones are spares. Get rid of them. Now once again, sorry about the noise, but the diesel heater's on. It's freezing in here. Right, what I'm going to do now is start working out for the sides. So I'll get that set up and I'll show you how I've worked it all out, and then we'll start cutting them. Once I've got them cut to size, we can start putting everything together then. Well, working the height out, that's already worked out because obviously the sides are the same height as the front and back. I've just cut 4 more of those for the corners, but what I need to do, because the front and the back are to the correct length, the sides are going to sit inside. So basically that's what we're going to have. So what I've got to do is cut 18mm off of these to make the corner both look the same width. Otherwise I'll have one, the front will be 100mm and the side will be 118mm. So I'm just going to rip 4 of these down by 18mm, and then I can start working out the overall width of it. I'll get them done and I'll fetch you back. Right, there's the side all clamped up. The way that I've calculated the width I need basically is the front and back are going to sit over the edge of this. So this is actually going inside. So because I want a 500mm overall distance, the first thing I've got to do is knock off the 18mm either side. That gives me my front and back. But then on top of that, there's going to be a moulding going on the outside of that as well. So that's another 18mm off both sides to knock off. And then I want the shadow for the top as well. So I've knocked off another 18mm from that one, which will give me about 9mm overhang of the mouldings as well. I hope that makes sense. And then that gives me the finished width that I need the actual box making. So the height remains the same. Obviously it's the same height as the front and the back. So that's just the same all round. So get them set up for the pocket hole jig now, and then I'll show you how that works. Right, this is my pocket hole jig setup. It's made by Trend. I've had this, God knows how many years now. But it's done some work. It served me well. And basically, all it does is, let's get a bit of timber. You stand that up like so, clamp it in, so it holds it in place, and then we drill down. Specialist drill that comes with it. It's got a stop end. Let me put this down, I can show you. It's got a stop, so that does your depth. It also stops for a collar and puts a pilot through for the screw. And then this takes the meat of the slope out. So basically all we do with it is pop it in and then set it going. In and out to keep clearing baffles. And then once we've got that, we release the clamp, fetch it out, give it a bit of a tap to clear it, and that's what we've got. We've got the two slopes. So what happens now is your other piece of wood goes across that way, when I can get it down flat and not on something. And then your screws go in that way, clamp it together, that's your inside. You've got a nice tight joint, obviously with glue in as well. You've got a nice tight joint that holds itself together, and it's all invisible because it's inside and can't be seen. It saves waiting for glue to dry if you just clamp it up. And that's basically it. It's a very simple, very effective way of joining on what you call a butt joint. Right, there we go. That's all them all drilled out ready. What you saw me doing earlier was adjusting these arms in, because I've got the two different widths. I didn't want these coming too close to the edge, so on this model you can adjust the arms to narrow in or widen the holes. Some of these are fixed, so what you have to do is move your stock over one way or the other to get them in the right place. Right, what I've also been doing is putting some pocket holes down into these sides here as well, so that when I come to fasten the sides to the front and the back, I can fasten them in down through these holes here, and that gives me a nice clamped edge, and I can fasten all four sides together then. Right, we'll get set up for fastening and I'll fetch you back. Right, ready for joining together now. So what we've got in the drill, I've got the square drive bit. This comes with the kit for the pocket hole. The screws, obviously square drive again, pan head with their own piloting bit. So as they go through into there, they start piloting themselves into there, stops the wood from splitting. So we'll get some glue on here and start joining together. Oh, this glue's a bit cold, so it's a bit hard to get out. Now you don't want massive amounts of glue. It's one of them little, just enough but not too much ones. Just make sure it's spread evenly across the joint. And then line it up, make sure your edges are straight, and don't do that. Ugh. You don't really want to be doing that. Get the clamp that comes with the kit again. And what this does, this holds the work level so that you've got a nice flush joint when you start. Now you don't want to be going too mad with these screws. You want it just to clamp the work. So all it needs is just enough to hold the work together. It's not holding the fourth bridge up or anything. It's basically it's to save clamps. So these screws act like your clamps until the glue dries. So all you need is just enough tension so you're not squeezing all the glue out of the joint. And that's it, that's the first joint done. Nice and neat. This is the outside edge that you're going to see, obviously. And that's it all done. I'll carry on, get the rest of them done, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're finished. Right, there we go. Quick and easy as that. That's it all glued together. We'll just let that set now and then start sanding it up. These cut edges, we're going to have to seal those otherwise they go all fairy when they're painted, but I'll show you how to do that. Right, ready to do the sides now. The only thing I've got to remember, of course, we've drilled these ready to connect these sides to the front and back. So I've got to make sure I've got them facing the outside. If I accidentally put it together that way, then we've shit it. So just remember, facing the outside. Right, there we go, that's all 4 sides done. All waiting to dry now. So I'm going to give them out morning. I like to make sure the glue's totally cured and gone off, and then start sanding, seal the edges, and then join them up. Right, now all these have had a chance to set up. I mean, they've had a good couple of days now, so they're well set. As we can see, I've got my 3 pockets there. What I now need, now I know where they can go, is I need a pocket near the top and I need a pocket near the bottom. So I'm just going to get them done. Not going to film it, you've seen me do them, it's on its same thing. So I'll get them done and then we're ready to start putting the box together. Right, it's got them done now. That gives us plenty of fastenings now to get a good strong corner joint. Don't forget, this is going to be a toy box. So at some point, it's no doubt going to have a little one sat in it, jumping on it, doing all sorts of things that it wasn't actually designed for. So I'm going to try and make it as strong as I possibly can. Right, that's the first one in. As you can see, it's just like the rest, just screwed in, levelled up. Little trick for you. They're not, when they're screwed together, they're not going together perfectly at 90 degrees. So all I've done, just got a block where I know it's cut at 90 degrees. Push it into the corner, clamp it on. That holds this joint then at 90. So as the glue dries, it sets that corner at 90 degrees. Right, I'll get a time lapse going for you and get the rest together. Right, as you saw there, just used some clamps. I just helped hold everything in place while I got the screws in. So that's it all screwed together. All we've got to now, let the glue dry. I'm going to leave that overnight now, let it set up so it's all rigid, and then we can start sanding. Just have to keep remembering to turn the radio down so I don't get a copyright strike. I always forget that. Right, so that's not looking too bad now. So once we've got it, all the glue set and everything's sturdy, it's time to start sanding all these cut edges up. So we'll sand them and then seal them so the paint can adhere properly, it doesn't go all fairy. I'll show you how that works when we get round to it. So right, let that set and then we'll crack on. That's all the joints all filled and sanded up now. Quite sure everybody knows how to sand a bit of filler, so you didn't need to watch me doing it. What I'm going to do now is concentrate on these cut edges and get these ready. So I'll set a time lapse up and I'll show you how I go about doing that. Right, so what I've got here is PVA and water. Now it's 75% PVA, 25% water. You don't want to put it on neat because it doesn't adhere properly, but you don't want to dilute it too much so you don't get a nice seal. And all we're going to do with this is paint it on these edges, let it dry, give it a very light sanding, and then give it another coat, another light sanding, and that's ready for painting, and it'll be as smooth as what the front surface is when it's all done. So I'll crack on with that and I'll show you what it's like when it's done. Right, so as you can see with the difference in colour, that's all the edges now, all treated, and it's every edge that you've cut, not just the inside bits. There's these on the end here, there's the tops, so every single edge that you've cut needs treating, otherwise when you paint it, all it does, it just blows up like wet Weetabix. Right, now the glue is dried here, all I'm doing, I'm just using some 240 grit sandpaper, something smooth, and you're literally just giving it a light sanding. Doesn't need much, just so it changes colour. You can see it going to like a grey colour, and that's all it needs. You don't have to rub it right down again. Make sure you get right into corners, because that's where a lot of people miss, and that's where you get the fur coming. That is it. That's now nice and smooth. But what I do now, I'll do all the box, dust it all off again, give it another coat, let that dry, and sand it again, and then it's ready for paint. And I've never had a failure with that. I've never had it fur up on me or anything using that method. Right, I'll get this done and then I'll fetch you back in a bit. Right, I'm going to have to split this into two parts. It's going to end up too long for one. So if you've enjoyed it, if you found it useful or anything like that, do give us a like and a subscribe. I don't charge, it's all free, so why not? And I'll catch you in part 2 on the next one. Cheers.